Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bremen 411 News and Beyond. I'm your host, Mark Stroud, and I thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this broadcast. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. We have today two very special guests. We have with us Chief Keith Pesnell of the Bremen Police Department. He's going to talk about scams, domestic violence, and driving of golf carts in the city of Bremen. Check this out.
The elderly are getting all the phone calls about the IRS and different things like that. And I'm telling you that you can call me anytime when you worry about those things, but the IRS are not going to call you.
Next up, we'll have with us Mayor Sharon Sewell. She'll be talking about the reopening of city parks. Yay! Wearing masks and why it's not such a good idea to flush baby wipes down the toilet. I can't wait for you to see that. Check this out.
Kind of that way with finishing this process, finishing the course. Only this is going to take us a while. The battle is not over and we must keep fighting.
So today's show is going to be awesome. To start off the show, I want to show you a short sample clip of my series that's entitled The Divine Protection Plan. I believe it's really going to richly encourage you. So if you want to see the entire message, just check out the link in the description below or just go to my website at kingdomrock.org. Check this out. Refuge is a place where you run to in times of danger. Refuge is a shelter. Let's just talk about, maybe it's raining really hard outside. Maybe there's hail falling about the size of a golf ball. I mean, it is really coming down out there, really terrible weather. And you see an open shelter over there. Well, that's a place of refuge, and you run to it. Why are you running to it? Because you're tired of getting hit by all the rain. You're tired of getting hit by all the hail. And you want to go into a place of safety. Well, that's a covering. The Father says here, this will be your testimony. He says that the Father, the Lord, will be your refuge. He's a place where you can run to and be safe from that. Because once you're under that refuge, under that shelter, you don't feel the rain anymore. I hope that you enjoyed that 1-minute clip. If you want to see the rest of that, just go to my website at kingdomrock.org and look for the Divine Protection Plan series. All right, without any further ado, let's call up our first guest, Chief Keith Pesnell. Take it away, Chief.
Good morning. I'd like to first of all say thank you to Pastor Stroud for allowing me to be here today. Thank you. You're a great asset to our community and help us in so many ways, and I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for letting us come and share a little bit this morning. We had talked earlier about talking about different things that are affecting our community, and there's a lot of things out there that we're facing, and some of the things that we're seeing is scams. We talked about those affecting our elderly and even our young. It's a desperate time right now with a lot of things going on, and the elderly are getting all the phone calls about the IRS and different things like that. And I'm telling you that you can call me anytime when you worry about those things, but the IRS are not going to call you. They're going to send you letters and things like that. So don't get scared, but if you do, please call me at the police department and we will look into it to make sure everything's okay. One of the things that we get a lot is we get calls about the FOP calling you at home, and are they legitimate? Well, the FOP is legitimate, but I couldn't swear to you that the one that's calling you is. So you can call us at the police department. We have a local chapter of the FOP there in Bremen, and you can call us. And if you want to give, we would be more than glad, and we can guarantee that your money goes to Bremen to help our kids and to help our community there in Bremen. There's a lot of things going on in our community right now, as we all know. Thanks to the strong will of our community, we've seen a lot of people just getting together and doing things that they thought they'd never do. I had to do things that I thought I never had to do. Went and told businesses that they needed to close. Had to go to restaurants and put limitations on people, hard-working people who couldn't work for a while. And we've seemed to just buckle down and stay together and see through the course. And I'm so proud of our community for what we've done. And I'm so proud of our kids. We've done things, our department has done things for kids. I feel very blessed. Ride by birthday parties and ride by a lady who turned 100 the other day. And it just seems like our community just does what we need to do to stick together and come together through the crisis. I ask that we remember the ones that have lost their loved ones through this. It's been a trying time to when we go to the funeral homes and we not able to show our respect like we normally are able to do. And let's remember those families that are going through those crises. We're seeing a lot of domestics through our time with this virus. They have really picked up. I guess people being together in the houses have worn on people, caused people to get very upset with each other, and we've had to step in and take care of those things. But again, I'm very proud of our community, very proud of how we've handled the situation. Please remember again, our kids out on the streets, school being out, kids are out. I'd like to tell the parents to please keep them off the golf carts. If they're not supposed to be on there, please keep them off of there because it's very dangerous. You can come by the police department and get a permit if you're a licensed 16-year-old driver. They've been ways so that you can drive on the streets of Bremen if you follow the rules of the golf cart regulations. Please heed to that. We want to keep our kids safe. That's one of the main things we want to do is keep our kids safe. We've had to face a lot of things, go by the guidelines at Walmart and different places. Please heed to those warnings. They're out there to protect you. And in closing today, I just want to again thank Mark Stroud for allowing us to be here today, he's always very faithful to our community, and I just like to say thank you for that. There's just so many people that come together to make our community good, and Mark Stroud is one of those. And thank you, Mark. We appreciate everything you do for us, and continue to pray for our police department. We're out there, and my guys have stepped up and just went out there and took care of what they needed to take care of in a bad situation. And I'd like to thank them, all the law enforcement, all of them in the medical field, all the first responders have really stepped up, and I'm very, very proud of them. And I want to thank you for having me today. And I've rambled some today, but I think we're all on the same platform today, that we just want to make our community better. And if anything I can ever do for you, you please call me at the Bremen Police Department. Thank you.
As promised, next up on the show, we have Mayor Sharon Sewell. Take it away, Mayor.
Hello, my friends. I've been looking forward to this time to visit with you again and to just chat for a little bit about our reopening or our re-entry. It's reminded me of some things I've read about rockets when they re-enter Earth's atmosphere. What happens during re-entry? Well, when a spacecraft re-enters Earth's atmosphere, it's traveling faster than the speed of sound. And during re-entry, it actually is unpowered. It's like a glider. It's just sliding. And as it falls, it encounters particles that create drag, that create friction, and that it causes it to slow down, and there's air resistance, and all of those things have to be considered and dealt with as it's re-entering the atmosphere. I've read that it's similar to skipping stones on a pond. I remember that when I was little, my dad could do that. And he would find a pebble that was round and flat, and it would be just the right size for his grip, and he could skip it across the pond. But if it didn't strike the surface at just the right angle and just the right speed, it would just drop and go under the water. And so returning from space, astronauts have described it like a stone skipping across a lake, because they have to hit it just at the right angle and just at the right speed. And if they don't, they make a deadly splash. They skip off the atmosphere and they would either fly back into space or they would erupt in flames and burn like a meteor. It's difficult for a returning spacecraft to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. I remember, I'm one of the ones old enough to remember July of 1969 when the Eagle landed on the moon. And yes, I was one of the ones listening on the radio when Neil Armstrong said to the world, "The Eagle has landed." Then he followed that with one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And if they had not landed successfully, there would not have been a flag on the moon. There would not have been the moonwalk. There would not have been the reports and the tales of what that was like. What we can read today is that it was a difficult landing, and it was relief for them when they could finally say, "The Eagle has landed." Then they had to get back home. And I remember the tension of that. And I remember all of the discussions on television about how difficult it would be for them to re-enter Earth's atmosphere, that it had to be done in exactly the right way, at exactly the right time, or they would burst into flames. And it would be destructive. We're kind of like that in re-entering life after COVID-19, or life with COVID-19, because it's going to be with us for a while. And certainly as we re-enter, there's tension, there are questions, there is frustration, there is friction that is causing a drag, and there are always risks. There are risks in everyday life. There's a risk when you walk across the floor of your house. What we learn is to take the risks in smart ways, to take them correctly and quickly. That brings me to a couple of things that have come up lately as we have been watching and observing. The first thing I want to do is commend our people for doing this well. Certainly there are those hard spots, there are those difficult people. They've always been on the earth, they always will be on the earth, and we will love them as best we can and do the best as we can. But for general purposes, our local businesses have been fabulous. They're being very careful. Most of our dining rooms have chosen not to open yet because they just didn't feel ready. The good news about that is you've been such good customers to get curbside pickup, delivery, and those things, that they're doing all right without having to open the dining rooms. And there's a whole lot to be said, wonderful things to be said for all of that and all that that implies. So we're very grateful for that. We're grateful for our churches and our people in town who have opportunities for large group gatherings to get together, that they're handling this with care and they're looking for the correct way, the safe way to reopen. I want to talk for just a second about masks. One of the difficult things about this pandemic has been the controversial, that's not a good word, the conflicting information that we've gotten about so many things. And I guess what I have been realizing is that we have so many self-appointed experts, so many people who think that their opinions rule over science, or what they think of as their needs need to be met regardless of what it does to anybody else. And that has created a lot of controversy about masks. Some people say that you need them. Some people say that you don't need them. Who knows? I'm not a scientist, but I want to tell you that I'm going to wear a mask. And I'm going to wear a mask for several reasons. Number one, masks reduce the chance of transmission of this disease. And it's easy to slide into that mindset to think, well, this is about over. We can quit doing this. It's kind of like getting a prescription and not taking the whole bottle so it doesn't do any good. It's kind of that way with finishing this process, finishing the course. Only this is going to take us a while. The battle is not over and we must keep fighting. And I'm going to choose to wear a mask because I see my local healthcare professionals wearing masks. And I was thinking about masks and masks through the years. You know, if you were going into the hospital for surgery 50 years ago, what do? They put on a mask. We want our physicians to put on masks. We want them to wash hands. Our dentists, we want them to put on masks. We want them to wash hands. And we would be totally offended if they didn't. We would deem them as not safe, as careless. That's kind of the way this no mask thing can come off in our community, in our culture, for people who are just refusing to wear masks. I'm not one to say that, you know, we're going to pass an order requiring you to wear a mask. And I know there is crazy stuff going on in this country and in some communities about control and rights and all of that. This is not about that. It certainly is not in my mind and not for me. But here's the bottom line. I love you enough and I respect you enough that when I'm in public, I'm going to wear a mask. I love my family enough that if that's some little something that I can do to protect their health, I'm going to wear a mask. If I can help my friends by wearing a mask, I'm going to wear a mask. Now, there are a lot of people who say, not any good, doesn't do any good. Well, let's go to common sense for just a second. Let's say that we're together and neither one of us has on a mask. And all of a sudden, I sneeze. And I am carrying the virus or any sickness that can infect you. And I sneeze. And some of the pictures that have come out, I don't know who spends their time going around with these highfalutin cameras taking pictures of the respiratory particles that come from a sneeze or a cough or singing or laughing. But there is this eruption of respiratory particles that come from our bodies, whatever we're doing, with good intentions, careless. It's an automatic reflex, and it just happens. So let's say that you don't have on a mask and I don't have on a mask and I sneeze, it's going to get on you. Let's say that you have on a mask and I don't have on a mask and I sneeze, you're going to be somewhat protected from my sneeze. But if both you have on a mask and I have on a mask, we've stopped it. It stops with me and it doesn't get to you. We all want so badly for this to be over. And we are so anxious for things to just be all right that it's easy to ignore and disregard the danger that still exists. I was reminded of it again yesterday when a college friend of mine contacted me asking for prayer for the 16-year-old son of a close friend of hers. The 16-year-old son last Sunday was diagnosed with COVID-19. He was in perfect health, had no problems. Today, if he is still alive this morning, he is fighting for his life alone in an ICU room on a ventilator. His parents can't get there, friends can't get there. He's there. That is horrifying to me, to think about that someone in my family or someone in your family or a friend would have to endure that, and I can help that by wearing a mask. So the question I have to ask myself is, am I willing to love you enough, to respect you enough, to put on a mask? They're hot. They make my glasses fog up. I'm going to get it off as quickly as I can, but I only have to wear it when I'm going into a public place that probably has a lot of people. I'm asking you to consider that. And let's look at what these simple things are we can do to stop the virus. Somebody transmitted it to that 16-year-old. Somebody transmitted it to all of the people we know that have had it. Isn't it interesting to consider what effect one person can have on a huge number of people? Isn't it interesting to think about the possibility that one sneeze, even in China, has affected the whole world? We can do our part, and it's a simple thing. Like we said the other day, cover up, clean up, and back off. And if that helps us take care of one another, that's an easy thing to ask. And it's not a matter of taking rights away. It is a matter of us being in a rocket together. And we need for this re-entry to be perfect. And we need to help one another and support one another in this re-entry so that we can be healthy again, so that we can re-enter our culture with applause and cheering, just like they had in Houston when we all waited for that rocket to re-enter the atmosphere, and they came on and said, yes, they've made it. The situation here is that some people are inconvenienced while other people's lives are at stake. My failure to deal with my inconvenience may threaten someone else's life. And there are people very dear to me that I really don't want to get this stuff. And you are among those people. And if we can keep our numbers what they are by social distancing and wearing a mask, that's an easy thing to do. Inconvenient, frustrating, hot, make you want to stomp your foot. Yep. But it works. And we're fortunate that something like that can work. I, for your benefit, am going to wear a mask in public. Let me talk to you just for a minute related to that about the opening of our city parks. We've been waiting to do this, and we knew that we had to wait for numbers. Remembering as well that we need to honor the governor's order for sheltering in place for senior adults and those who are medically challenged in some way through June the 12th, I believe it is. And we need to respect that. We have to respect law. We don't want to be a lawless, disrespectful people. We respect that, and so we've had that in mind. But I also know that a lot of you are wanting to walk, you're wanting to run, and you're wanting the safety of our local parks. We really think that since our numbers are staying what they are today, that we will be able to open those for running and walking only in the next few days. We will be expecting and enforcing social distancing. It is so in us to forget and want to gang up together. We cannot do that. It is dangerous. It can make somebody sick. It can kill somebody. That is for sure. It is serious. And so we're looking forward to that. But please do your walking and running. If you live with somebody, it doesn't matter if you're 6 feet from them. But with other people, give them the respect and the benefit of not getting your respiratory droplets on them in any way, your sweat, whatever that takes. So you'll be hearing more about that in a few days, but we're looking forward to doing that. We're working in conjunction with school systems so that all of our parks, the school parks and the city parks, are all on the same schedule and operating under very similar rules. Another thing that's come up is people have been questioning about voting. I shared with you a couple of weeks ago about the voting that is taking place on June the 9th. And all of our voting officials have mailed all of us a form to apply for an absentee ballot. Some of you may have already received absentee ballots. And there are people out there who are concluding that you have to vote absentee ballot. Hear me. No, no, and no. You do not have to vote absentee. They wanted to give registered voters the opportunity for that should that need arise. But the absentee ballots must be received by the close of polls on June the 9th. That's when they have to be received. And so, as it stands today, voting will take place on June the 9th. All precincts will be open, and all precincts will be executing all of the health precautions that are in place. You will stay 6 feet apart. You will not group together, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The machines will be cleaned. They will be sanitized, and you will be able to vote. Remembering again, this is the presidential preference primary, but it also is our general primary election. If you want to see a sample ballot or do any of that, you can go to haralsoncountyga.gov, and you can see the Republican sample ballot, the Democrat sample ballot, and a ballot that does not show a party preference. So think about that and know that you can go vote live and in person, beginning May the 18th at the Haralson County Courthouse. That's when early voting begins, and that will go on for 3 weeks. It will last through June the 5th, and you will be able to vote live. You do not have to vote absentee. I called City Hall this morning and I said, I'm going to be visiting with our people again today. Do you have anything that you want me to tell them? And so I thought it would be something dramatic and deep and involved about our numbers for COVID and how our restaurants are doing and all of these things that are going on in our community. And they chimed in and said, please tell them not to flush baby wipes. I said, do what? They said, baby wipes say that they will dissolve. All of them do not. And it is playing havoc with our sewer system because we have so many people at home. So bottom line here, and I've done this, I've messed up my home plumbing flushing Kleenex tissues. So Kleenex tissues, know that just because it says it's flushable doesn't mean it is. You can just let one sit in a sink of water for a little while and see what it does. But we're having significant issues in our sewer systems, and ultimately you will in your plumbing if you keep flushing too many wipes that say they're flushable but are not really. I guess that's called fake news, fake advertising. So check it out and be sure and see if you can help us in that way. I'm glad to get to share these few things with you. You know that we're always ready and available to you. All you have to do is call. City Hall is available. All of our people are at work, our police, our fire, our water plants, everything is up and running and has been through this whole ordeal. And we are looking more and more at how we can continue to carefully, respectfully, while caring for one another, open up every facet of our community. And we appreciate your help so much in doing this. Thank you. Call us if you need us, and God bless you.
Well, I pray that you enjoyed today's show and that you were thoroughly blessed. Don't forget, you can go to my website at kingdomrock.org. It's there that you can watch this video and the other videos in the series as well. And you'll also find other words of encouragement that will richly bless you. Until next time, remember that Jesus loves you, and so do we. Choose Him as your Lord today. Only He can make a way. I'll see you next time.